Victor Salva style of filmmaking. And
I like to think so.
Yeah, tell us how the process was for Peaceful Warrior. You talk about that.
Peaceful Warrior was a book that, as I said before, I read in a very dark time in my life. The ideas were quite beautiful. I embraced them as much as I was able back then. And then they started to inform my screenwriting. My film Powder embraced a lot of the ideas in Dan's book. Powder is a very enlightened young man who has a different way of looking at the world. And I think the producers of Peaceful Warrior saw Powder. It was one of their favorite films, and they thought this is the man who should direct Peaceful Warrior, not knowing that I was a big fan of the book and that a lot of the Powder stuff was from Peaceful Warrior. They came to me while I was doing the first Jeepers Creepers movie, and I was completely unavailable. They came 2 years later, and I was doing Jeepers Creepers 2, which, this is a strange business. You make the films that get funded. So I'm making these two very dark movies, and I have been a fan of horror movies since I was a little boy, and I still am. But I was making these very dark movies, and to be quite honest, as the world got darker, both politically and spiritually, I kind of started to think, man, I am really putting some dark, scary stuff out there, and the world is already so dark and scary. I really wanted to do Peaceful Warrior. Each time they came to me, I wanted to put those ideas out into the universe. Finally, after many screenwriters and directors and trying to get the film set up fell through, Jeepers 2 had wrapped, and they came to me and said, one more time, can you do this? And I was available, and I agreed to, and I jumped into the script, and I did some reshaping, and we literally put the picture together in about 3 or 4 months' time, which in Hollywood terms is lightning speed.
Yeah, Godspeed.
And started casting and shaping and created what I hope is a film that people will take from it some light and some hope and scratch their head a little bit and go, maybe being happy maybe I'm going about being happy in a way that's never going to make me happy.
Right. It's always around the corner, seems. Now, some of the things, I watched the movie a couple times, and some of the most beautiful parts of the film I remember is one when, after his accident, he came to in the hospital bed, and things all of a sudden came to the screeching halt, and the camera was moving up and showing him in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
And then another part was when he was confronting that dark part of himself, and he was going to jump.
Yes.
And oh my God, then you'll all of a sudden realize who the other person was.
Yeah.
And so tell us about, those were the parts of the movie that really grabbed me. Tell me about those two scenes.
You know, visually, you know, the director's job is to tell this story in pictures, basically. I mean, you can use words, and I love music. I love to tell stories with picture and music. But I think I can't take credit for that wonderful Hitchcockian battle he has with himself on top of the Campanile in Berkeley, but I do think it's a scene. I hear from a lot of people who've seen the film, love that scene.
Yes.
I've been there. That was great.
People can relate. They're like, I'm so glad that I'm not the only one who's been there, and had that meltdown, you know. I
have to give a nod to Scott Meklowitz, who played Millman in the movie, because when we were shooting that scene, and he was playing what I called him the Gargoyle, because we first discover him as sort of the Gargoyle Dan, but we called him Dark Dan, basically. I nod my head to Scott. I never saw the power of that scene until the raging ego part of him says, do you know who you are without me? And he screams it so angrily, which I wrote that line, and I never saw it as so powerful until Scott came and just blew it out like that. I give that scene to Scott. I think he found a way to make that something incredibly memorable.
And he's so lovable. Where'd this guy come from?
The hardest part about casting Peaceful Warrior was finding someone who was kind of a scoundrel. He really is a scoundrel. He sleeps with his best friend's girls just because he can.
We forgive him.
He is. It was finding this actor who we could hate, but we could see a layer under him that made us really care about him. And I typically pick 3 audition scenes for actors to come in and read, which are 3 different colors throughout the movie. And the most difficult audition scene was this one where Scott, we actually saw part of it as a clip, where Scott breaks down and says, I can't give this up, I thought I was strong. Scott Meklowitz came in, and he was the only actor who put a tear in my eye when he said that, because you really felt like his heart was breaking. If we know the pain someone is in, This goes for, I think, real people in real life and characters in movies. If we sense the pain they're in, we can forgive their behaviors, or at least we can start to understand them. And Scott gave me that dimension, and he's a very young kid. He's only done 3 pictures. I think he's a phenomenon. I hope he makes smart choices and stays small, humble, and very gifted like he is. But I think we were just as lucky to find him as we were to find Nick, and they were really great together. Yes,
it just gives me chills. So we're going to take a look at the trailer from the movie now. Let's take a look at that.
That's it, Danny. Excellent. Melman, you're good.
I train 7 days a week, 50 weeks out of the year. School's kind of a breeze. I get straight A's.
Hey, Dan!
Looking good, all right. Thanks, Trev. How can they all be in love with me?
I got great friends, I'm in great shape, and I only sleep alone when I absolutely want to.
Dan?
I want to know what's going on.
With some hard work, I'm sure you'll be able to walk again.
Help you with something?
What the hell did you just do?
There's a lot you'd have to know before you could understand what you saw. Mine is just a reflex organ. Reacts to everything. Talk to me that ranch.
I don't know what to do now.
Everything has a purpose, even this. And it's up to you to find it. A warrior does not give up what he loves. He finds the love in what he does.
Ouch, I have lost myself again.
I don't think your leg is the only thing that got broken.
Lost myself.
Doctors have told me you will never compete again.
Brought everything you don't need in here that is keeping you from this moment. You'll be amazed at what you can do. I call myself a peaceful warrior. Because the battles we fight are on the inside. This moment is the only thing that matters.
Are you paying attention?
I think one of the things that bothers me most about the actual marketing of the film is that it is a tough sell, and it's in very limited release. And one of the reasons why I like coming on to shows, talking, raising people's consciousness about the film is I want them to seek the film out. There is a website that shows the theaters it's playing in across the country. The release could go wider, but you never know. So I would just encourage everyone to seek the film out. If you've already seen it and liked it, spread the word, tell people about it. Just really get the message out.
Yeah, I do. I feel really honored just to be part of the film, just to be in the audience, and just to be on the play at this time in our evolution where we're really coming forward and opening our heart in all mediums, whether it's television, film, you know, it's just coming forward at this time. You know, we had a technological revolution, and it seems like, you know, coming soon we're going to have a spiritual revolution where people start to live from their hearts more. Like the book says, the only way to come to your senses is really to lose your mind.
I think that's
sounds kind of
absolutely
crazy,
true.
but
Let's get crazy.
Right, because you know, we're never going to survive unless we get a little crazy. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure.
And I want to thank all the viewers. And just remember, if you're looking for a place to combine spirituality and entertainment, you've come to the right place. In with Tamara Henry in It's the Only Way Out. And we'll see you here next time.
After 70 years, that's what he goes there for.